The twin suns were setting behind the dusty hills of New Eden, painting the sky gold and purple. The air shimmered with heat, and the old repair shop stood alone near the desert road. Inside, a man worked quietly among metal scraps and humming engines. His name was Jack Carter, a human mechanic. Tall and weathered from long days under the suns, he was a quiet man, not old, but tired of life's noise. Machines made sense to him. People didn't. He had fought in wars, fixed ships, and buried friends. Now he lived alone, fixing what was broken and asking for nothing more. The sound of approaching boots and slurred laughter broke the peace. Jack sighed and wiped his hands on a rag. He already knew the voice, Jack. My old pal? It was Marin, the town drunk. His clothes were stained, his eyes red. He carried a half-empty bottle and smelled of sour fruit wine. Jack didn't smile. What do you want, Marin? I've got a trade for you, Marin said, grinning wide. Something better than credits. Jack frowned. If it's junk again, I'm not interested. Oh no, not junk. Marin stepped aside, revealing someone behind him. Girl. She was small, trembling, and covered in a torn blanket. Her fox-like ears twitched nervously. 2 silver tails curled around her legs. Her golden eyes looked tired, empty, and afraid. Jack froze. Marin, what is this? She's a vixen, Marin said proudly, shaking his bottle. Got her off a trader from the outer colonies. Useless thing, doesn't talk much, doesn't eat much either. You like fixing broken things, right? Maybe fix her. I just want some booze. Jack's jaw tightened. You're trading a living person for alcohol? Marin laughed. She's not a person. She's a machine with fur. Some alien biotech thing. You know how it works? I'll take a few bottles and she's yours. The girl lowered her head, shaking. Jack saw the bruises on her wrists. She whispered something, voice soft, almost lost in the wind. Please, don't send me back. Jack stared at Marin. He hated him in that moment. But he also knew the authorities wouldn't care. The vixen races were half biological, half synthetic property. Not people under frontier law. He exhaled slowly. Fine. Take what's left in the crate outside. Leave her? Marin grinned, grabbed the bottles, and staggered away into the night. The girl stood still, uncertain. Jack looked at her gently. What's your name? She hesitated, voice trembling. Lyra. All right, Lyra, he said softly. You're safe now. Come inside. Lyra stepped inside the workshop. The warm light flickered over metal tools, dusty shelves, and half-built hover engines. Jack pointed to a chair. Sit down. You look like you haven't eaten in days. I don't need much food, she said quietly. Just water. Brought her a canteen. She drank slowly, her tail twitching with every swallow. Jack noticed her hands, small but precise, like someone who once worked with delicate machines. Why was he selling you? He asked gently. Her ears drooped. Because I couldn't obey him? He wanted me to act like a pet. I refused. Jack nodded. He didn't press further. You can rest in the back room. There's a cot. She looked at him in surprise. You're not ordering me? He almost smiled. No, you're free here. Lyra blinked. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then she whispered, thank you, and went to the room quietly. Jack sat alone after she left. He looked at the empty bottles Marin had taken and muttered, You traded away a life for poison. He stayed awake long into the night, listening to the soft sound of Lyra's breathing through the thin wall. Something inside him shifted, something he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, sunlight poured through the broken window. Jack made tea, the only thing left in his kitchen. Lyra came out, still shy, still unsure. He offered her a cup. It's bitter, but it's warm. She accepted it carefully, her claws barely touching the metal cup. Why are you being kind? Jack shrugged. Because someone should be. Lyra looked down. Humans don't do that. Not for my kind, he sighed. Not all humans are the same. For the first time, she gave a small smile. Her ears twitched forward, A sign of curiosity? Maybe trust? As days passed, she began helping him in the workshop. Jack noticed how skilled she was with tools. Her long fingers could connect wires faster than any human. Once she fixed a damaged drone in seconds. "You're good," Jack said. "I was an engineer once," she replied softly. "Before the war before. Humans came." He looked at her. "And now?" "Now I'm just lost." Jack wanted to say something comforting, but words never came easily to him. Instead, he handed her a new set of gloves. "Then let's fix things together." Lyra's eyes softened. Together? One evening, as they worked side by side, the lights flickered. The old power grid was failing again. Jack grumbled and opened the control box. Lyra knelt beside him. "You rely on old tech," she said gently. "I can improve it, you can." She nodded and pulled a small crystal device from her belt, a fragment of Vixen energy storage. "It can power the shop for months." He watched as she connected it to the wires. The lights brightened instantly. Jack blinked in surprise. "How did you?" She smiled faintly. "It's easy when you understand energy flow." Jack chuckled. "You're full of surprises." Lyra tilted her head, ears twitching. "Surprises are good?" "They are," he said. "You just made my life easier." Her cheeks turned slightly pink, a soft glow beneath her pale skin. "Then I'm glad." For the first time, she laughed, a quiet, almost musical sound. Jack didn't realize how much he missed laughter until that moment. Days turned into weeks. Lyra no longer hid from him. She began to hum while she worked, sometimes singing old songs in her alien language. The workshop started to feel alive again. Jack even started cooking again simple meals of bread and soup one afternoon. Lyra came running into the shop, holding a broken communicator. "Look what I found in the junkyard." He smiled. "Old military tech. Can you fix it?" She nodded. "If I had the right parts." Together, they spent hours rebuilding it. When it came alive, she smiled proudly. "You fixed the translator," she said. "Now we can understand each other perfectly." Jack blinked. "I thought we already could." "Not words," she said, touching her chest. "Meanings." That night, they sat outside under the stars. The desert wind was cold, but Lyra didn't seem to mind. She looked up at the twin moons. "Jack," she said quietly, "why did you help me?" He didn't answer right away. Finally he said, "Because when I saw you, I saw someone who didn't deserve to be treated like a thing." She nodded slowly. "No one ever said that before." He looked at her ears twitching in the moonlight and smiled. "Then maybe it's time someone did." She turned her face toward him, her golden eyes shimmering. "You didn't buy me, Jack. You saved me." He didn't know how to respond. He only said softly, "Get some rest. Tomorrow, we've got engines to fix." Lyra smiled and went inside. But her words stayed with him long after she was gone. The next morning, Jack woke up to knocking at the door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing there was a small girl, another fox-eared vixen, much younger, carrying a small pack. Her big amber eyes blinked up at him. "Excuse me? Have you seen my sister? She has silver ears." Before Jack could answer, Lyra appeared behind him, gasping. "Rin!" The little one squealed and ran into her arms. They hugged tightly, tails wrapping around each other. Jack stepped back, giving them space. "I followed your signal," Rin said, tears in her eyes. "We thought you were gone." Lyra stroked her hair gently. "I'm fine now. This human helped me." Rin looked at Jack curiously. "You're the one who saved her?" He nodded awkwardly. "I guess so." She smiled brightly. "Then you're our daddy now?" Jack nearly choked. "What?" Lyra blushed furiously. "Rin, don't say that." Rin tilted her head. "But you said he's kind, and he feeds you, and he fixed your translator. That's what daddies do." Jack couldn't help laughing. "Well, that's a new title." Before anyone could say more, another figure stepped out from behind the Dunza. Tall vixen woman with sleek black fur and sharp eyes. She carried a small rifle on her back. Lyra's smile faded. "Tess." The older one nodded slowly. "I followed them. I wanted to make sure you were safe. Jack looked between them. So now I've got 3 fox-eared aliens in my house. Tess's gaze was cautious. You could turn us in and make a fortune. Why haven't you? Jack shrugged. Not interested in selling people. Her eyes softened a little. Then maybe you're not like the others. Rin grinned, tugging his sleeve. See? I told you, he's nice. Lyra smiled shyly. We can leave tomorrow if it's trouble. Jack looked around his empty shop, at the 3 pairs of curious eyes, and shook his head. It's not trouble. I guess this place could use some life. Rin jumped with joy. Yay, Daddy, said Yes. Lyra covered her face with her hands, embarrassed. Tess actually laughed, a quiet, low sound like a purr. That night, the small house was filled with new voices. Rin drew pictures on the dusty wall. Tess cooked a real meal for the first time in months. Lyra fixed the heater. Jack sat quietly, watching them move about like a family he never had. For the first time in years, his home felt warm. Later, Lyra sat beside him on the porch. The desert was quiet, except for the hum of the night insects. You didn't have to let us stay, she said softly. I know. Then why? He looked at the horizon. Because it's better than being alone. Lyra smiled gently. You really are strange, Jack Carter. He smiled back. I get that a lot. As the stars shimmered above them, a small shadow passed across the sky, a drone. Silent and dark, scanning the ground below. Its red eye flashed for a second before disappearing into the clouds. Lyra's ears twitched. She whispered, They're looking for us. Jack Stowe. The desert morning was quiet. Thin red sunlight touched the sand, and soft wind carried dust across the small workshop. Inside, Jack fixed a broken engine while Lyra and Tess sorted through tools. The smallest Rin played with an old hover drone that no longer flew. It had been 3 weeks since the night the drone appeared in the sky. None of them forgot that red blinking eye. Jack had built new shutters over the windows and moved their generator underground. He taught the Vixen girls how to hide their energy traces and live off-grid. Said it was to keep them safe, but deep inside, he simply didn't want to lose them. Lyra had stopped calling herself broken. Tess had stopped watching every door like a soldier. Rin had started to laugh again. The workshop, once silent and lonely, now echoed with voices and hope. The routine, every morning. Jack started the day the same way, by checking the horizon for patrol lights. Then he brewed bitter tea, fixed machines, and pretended the world outside didn't exist. Lyra would hum softly while adjusting engines. She liked to organize the tools by color and size, something Jack found funny. Tess kept a careful watch outside. She trusted no one, not even the passing traders who came for repairs. Rin would wander everywhere, asking endless questions. Daddy, Rin said one afternoon, holding a wrench almost as big as her arm, why are humans so tall? Jack smiled. I don't know. Maybe we just like bumping our heads on doorways. Rin giggled so hard her tails wagged like flags. Lyra covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. And Tess shook her head, but smiled quietly. Moments like these reminded Jack why he didn't regret helping them. He knew they weren't just aliens. They were people, living, feeling, learning. Still, the danger never went away. Jack saw more patrol drones in the sky each week. Sometimes he would wake up at night and find Lyra sitting by the window, watching the stars with fear in her eyes. The warning one evening, while Jack checked the perimeter sensors, Tess came running from the dunes. Jack, they're coming. He froze. How many? 3 hovercrafts. Military marks. Probably bounty teams. Jack cursed softly and ran inside. Lyra was already holding Rin close, her tails bristling. They found us, Lyra whispered. Jack looked at the small family he'd somehow built. He knew what had to be done. We're leaving now. He grabbed supplies, food, tools, and a fuel cell and threw them into an old sand skimmer parked behind the shop. It was a half-built transport craft Lyra had been upgrading secretly. Now it would have to fly. Lyra jumped to the control seat. Engines are half-tested, but they'll work. It's good enough, Jack said, starting the ignition. Everyone in the skimmer roared to life, throwing sand in every direction. As they sped into the desert, lights appeared behind them, 3 glowing spots, racing closer, faster. Tess shouted. Lyra gritted her teeth. I'm trying. The skimmer leaped over dunes, wind screaming around them. Rin clung to Jack's arm, eyes wide. Daddy, are we going to crash? Not today, sweetheart, he said with a grin that hid his fear. The chase, the hovercrafts fired warning flares. Dust and light filled the sky. Lyra turned sharply, sliding between rocky cliffs. We can lose them in the canyon. Jack held the rail as the skimmer bounced violently. You sure this thing can take it? Trust me. Lyra shouted back. She guided the craft through narrow paths, sparks flying as the sides scraped rock. Behind them, one of the pursuing ships clipped a ridge and exploded in a flash of blue flame. Rin cheered. She's amazing. Tess reloaded her blaster calmly. 2 more. They reached the end of the canyon, where the sand spread wide again. Lyra slowed down, panting. The engines hissed. We're low on power. Jack frowned. We can't go back to town. They'll trace us there. There's an old mining rig about 50 kilometers east, Tess said. I worked there once before the war. It's abandoned. Then that's where we go, Jack said firmly. Hold on. The refuge they reached the mining rig by nightfall. It was a cluster of old metal towers half buried in sand, glowing faintly from solar lights that hadn't died completely. Inside the main hall, everything smelled of rust and dust. Jack and Tess sealed the doors while Lyra checked the generator. Rin explored, chasing her own echo in the empty tunnels. For a few hours they rested. Jack sat beside Lyra, who was patching a damaged wire. Her hands trembled slightly. You did great out there, he said softly. Lyra looked at him, tired but smiling. I didn't think I could fly like that again. You're braver than you think. She hesitated, her golden eyes meeting his. Jack, if they catch us, they'll destroy me. They'll erase my core. I don't want you hurt because of me. Jack shook his head. You think I'd just let them take you? I don't want you to die for me, he smiled faintly. Then you better live for me. She blinked, surprised by his words. Her ears twitched, and for a moment she didn't know what to say. In the corner, Tess watched quietly, a small smile ghosting her lips. She saw the way Lyra looked at Jack, the same way hope looks at light after darkness. The storm at midnight. Alarms began to beep softly. Tess rushed to the control panel. They found us. Jack jumped up. How many? Too many, Tess said. A full unit of drones and 2 gunships. Lyra stood quickly. There's no way out. Jack thought fast. We'll use the storm. Outside, the sky had turned black. Thunder rolled across the dunes. A desert lightning storm was coming, violent but perfect for cover. Jack opened a side hatch and looked at the sky. Once it hits, their sensors will go blind. That's our chance, Lyra nodded. I can trigger an energy pulse from the mining core. It'll fry their circuits, but it could overload my body. Jack grabbed her arm. No, there has to be another way. She looked at him with calm eyes. You once said family doesn't get traded? Then let me protect mine. He stared at her, torn. Then slowly, he nodded. We do this together. The battle of the first lightning bolt hit the sand outside, lighting the rig in blue fire. The mercenaries moved in, their drones humming like insects. Jack and Tess took positions by the entrances. Lyra ran to the core room, connecting her energy crystal to the mining generator. Rin watched from a vent, whispering, please don't get hurt. Explosions shook the walls. Jack fired an old pulse rifle, covering Tess as she took down the nearest drones. Sparks and smoke filled the hallways. Lyra, Jack shouted through his communicator. Now would be a good time. Lyra's voice crackled through the static. Almost ready. Inside the core room, lightning from outside struck the metal tower, feeding raw energy into her device. The glow surrounded her, silver and gold. Her tails lifted as her body trembled from the power overload. Now, she cried. The pulse shot out like a wave, silent but deadly. Every drone in the sky flickered, sparked, and fell. The gunship's lights died, Silence followed only. The sound of wind and thunder remained. Jack ran to her. The room was filled with smoke and broken lights. Lyra lay on the floor, her breathing weak, her eyes dim. Lyra. He lifted her gently. Her chest glowed faintly, like a dying ember. I told you, she whispered, smiling weakly. Family doesn't get traded. Don't talk, he said, voice shaking. You're going to be fine. Her hand touched his face. You gave me something no one ever did. A place to belong. Jack held her close. And you're not losing it. Tess arrived, helping him carry her to the skimmer. We can link her core to your generator, she said. It might keep her alive. Do it, Jack said without hesitation. The miracle they worked through the storm. Tess connected wires, Rin handed tools with tears in her eyes, and Jack powered the generator. The whole skimmer shook as electricity surged. Ready. Tess shouted. Flip it. Jack threw the switch. The generator roared. A burst of light filled the cabin. For a moment, everything went still. Then Lyra gasped softly, her eyes opening against golden, glowing brighter than ever. Jack, she whispered weakly. He smiled, relief flooding his face. Told you I'd fix you. Rin hugged her sister's arm tightly. Daddy did it. Daddy saved you? Lyra smiled through tears. Yes, he did. The storm faded outside, leaving only quiet rain. The mercenaries were gone, their machines fried. The night was peaceful again. A new dawn months later, the desert looked different. The old mining rig had been turned into a workshop home. Its walls were painted, gardens planted in the sand, and laughter echoed from the halls. Jack worked at his bench while Rin ran around chasing a small robotic bird. Tess repaired an old communicator, planning to make contact with free vixen colonies. Lyra sat nearby, reading a book Jack had found for her stories of old Earth. When Jack came in with tea, Lyra smiled at him. You should rest, Daddy. He rolled his eyes. You're starting to sound like Rin. From across the room, Rin yelled, That's because she's your favorite. Jack laughed. You're all my favorites. Tess shook her head but smiled softly. You've built yourself quite a family, human. Guess I did, he said. Lyra placed her hand on his. You didn't build it. You saved it. They stepped outside as the twin suns rose over the desert, golden light spilling across the dunes. Lyra's ears caught the wind. Rin's laughter danced through the air. And Tess watched with calm pride. For the first time, none of them were running, hiding, or afraid. They were simply alive, dashed together. As a trader ship passed far above in the sky, Jack waved lazily at it. Rin waved too, shouting, We're Daddy's girls. Lyra giggled, cheeks pink. Tess laughed under her breath. Jack shook his head but smiled wide.